Shabbat Shalom. I'm Cantor Sharon. It's so nice to see so many strong women and associate members as well here this evening. I'm going to start with a nigun. A nigun is a wordless prayer, a song that brings us together, brings us to the same spiritual place. We breathe together when we sing together. We feel the melody pull at our heartstrings and at our spirit, and we are ready to be in the moment together. This is a nigun from my home country of my ancestors. This is a piasezna nigun from Ukraine. Try it with me. I call on Pat, who will formally open up this service.
Now I'm in business. Got all my stuff. Hello, I'm Pat York, and welcome to Hadassah Shabbat. I'm so glad to see all of you here. I'd like to welcome some special guests that we have with us. Gail Moskowitz, Grassroots Advocacy Team Education and Advocacy Department, coming from Richmond. Arlene Weiner, past president of Richmond. Rebecca Young, current co-organization vice president, who is also a co with Diane Biscayer, who's the next year is going to be, they will both be co-presidents of the region. I'd also like to introduce Ann Eisenberg. She's leadership training and development, and she is our keynote speaker for the evening. She will give our devar. We'd also like to honor one of our members, Joan Seif. She's one of our founding members of our chapter, and she's been a Hadassah member for 64 years. Tonight I want to talk to you about the importance of togetherness. Here in Charlottesville, we enjoy and depend upon our little close-knit, warm, and thoughtful community. No one ever wants to be in a situation where you need the help. But when you do, the concern and support of others makes such a big difference. I am very honored, proud, and humbled to be part of our Hadassah family. By spending time with each other and working together, we continue to become closer and more connected with all the things we do together, with each other and for each other. Togetherness is really what this evening is all about. We are all volunteers. Volunteers decorated the tables, prepared a delicious dinner for us to enjoy. Our members are an important part of this event. Our newest members will be participating in this service by reading the heartfelt words of Henrietta Zold, as well as other strong women. Everyone pitched in at every turn, and each effort is very much appreciated. We will all work together to make this a wonderful evening and to actually make it happen. That's who we are. Hadassah Shabbat brings us together in many ways, not only in prayer. Hadassah connects and empowers Jewish women to effect change. How, you may ask? I'm going to tell you. We foster women's leadership. We lead by example, and we give individuals the tools they will need to lead and succeed. We've helped shatter glass ceilings and build significant personal bridges. We've spoken out against hate on behalf of those who cannot speak for themselves. October 7th has left an indelible scar on each of us. This year, our letter campaign will focus on our humanitarian efforts on the healing of Israeli and Palestinian people with the purchase of additional medical supplies and essential equipment to meet the emerging needs due to the crisis created by the October 7th attack. Hadassah has funded hospitals, a medical school, dental facilities, x-ray clinics, infant welfare stations, soup kitchens, and other services of Israel's Jewish and Arab inhabitants. Zold persuaded her colleagues that practical programs open to all were critical to Jewish survival in the Holy Land. Henrietta Zold motivated women to support a feet-on-the-ground approach to end the deplorable conditions in pre-state Israel. The original mission was Haruchat Ba'ami, the healing of the daughters of my people. And that's where it started. Hadassah's medical organization's Bat Ami Center for Victims of Sexual Abuse was established in 2009. It is open 24 hours a day. The primary goal of this center is the treatment and is to return control to the victims. Charlottesville Hadassah will be speaking out strongly to support Hadassah's End the Silence campaign, and details for this future program will be forthcoming. The campaign will bring awareness of the unspeakable and indescribable outrageous sexual assaults that were committed against the female hostages in particular during the Hamas attack. Hadassah National President Carol Ann Schwartz said, "For the sake of women everywhere, we must come together around the world to speak the truth and demand action." Unfortunately, as you know, many hostages are still missing in Gaza. When you go into Omansky for the Kiddush and for dinner, please take a moment to pick up a blue pin like this. These blue pins represent the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism. It was founded by Robert Kraft of the New England Patriots, and he's a staunch supporter of Israel and this cause, to stand up against all hate, not just anti-Semitism. Let's end the silence of these unspoken horrors. Hadassah materials will also be available for your perusal on that table. Hadassah helped bring medical breakthroughs around the globe and has been on the front lines when terror strikes, aiding all people, all ethnicities, all who walk through the doors of Hadassah's hospital. With the support for a women-led organization, our members and male associates demonstrate their faith in Hadassah's promise. Striving to continue Hadassah's mission will always remain at the center of our future endeavors. Each one of us is a daughter of the healing of my people. And through our support of Hadassah, together we are helping to bring healing to the world. Shabbat Shalom.
Please turn to page 128 in your prayer book as we sing a song of welcome. How good and how pleasant it is that brothers and sisters dwell together. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov umanahim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov umanahim shevet achim gam yachad. We will now hear some words from Pam Sokol.
We are told to stop and rest on Shabbat. From what we do rest. If we are now resting, we must have been working. What is our work? Is it our livelihoods for which we get paid? Is it raising our children? Is it keeping our homes? Is it volunteering or helping those in need? Is it learning of local and world events so that we may stay informed and stand accountable, ready to serve? And if indeed it is all of those things and more, how do we not get burdened or lost in the enormity of it? We look for strength inside of us. We look to what replenishes our spirits, and we look to each other, the women and men of Hadassah, the women who do. And we are inspired and strengthened by the woman who started it all, Henrietta Zold. She said, "Dare to dream, and when you do, dream big."
It is customary at Kabbalat Shabbat to sing psalms as part of our welcoming. And so we do. We sing Or Zarua, which can be found on page 132. It's the final paragraph. Zarua Latzadik Yisrael Simcha Or Zarua Latzadik Yisrael Simcha Or Zarua Latzadik Yisrael Simcha Yisrael Simcha Or Zarua Latzadik Yisrael Simcha Yisrael Simcha. Try singing with me. Or Zarua Latzadik Yisrael Simcha Or Zarua Latzadik Yisrael Simcha Or Zarua Latzadik Yisrael Simcha Yisrael Simcha Or Zarua Latzadik Yisrael Simcha Yisrael Simcha. One more time, let's say clapping. Or Zarua Latzadik Yisrael Simcha Or Zarua Latzadik Yisrael Simcha Or Zarua Latzadik Yisrael Simcha Yisrael Simcha Or Zarua Latzadik Yisrael Simcha Yisrael Simcha. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. And with that, I call on Annette Hollow and Amy Leader to light the candles to officially start Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner When I keep Shabbat, God watches over me. It is a sign forever between God and me. Ki Eshmer Shabbat, page 129. Ki Eshmer Shabbat, Yishmereini. Ki Eshmer Shabbat, Yishmereini. Oti leomead beino uveini. Oti leomead beino have welcomed one another. We have welcomed the Shabbat lights. Now we bring in the angels to help adorn our spirits with Shabbat blessing, with Shalom Aleichem, page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kohen Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Kadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeitrem Shalom, Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Turning back to page 138, 139. We sing a special piyut, a special song, Lecha Dodi, beloved bride, come meet the bride. This practice of singing this song comes from the mystics of Tzfat, from the 16th century. Actually, it started much earlier than that. But this poem was written then, when the mystics would run out into the fields as the sun set. As Shabbat was coming into the world, they would welcome and beg Shabbat to come, the Shekhinah, the God's presence, dwelling presence, to come and be with us for these moments, this palace in time, according to the words of Abraham Joshua Heschel. And for those 26 hours of Shabbat, we are adorned in God light. And if you look closely at our verses, they're filled with joy and celebration. And the final verse, verse 9, Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, enter in peace, crown of your husband. Boi chala, come bride. When we get to this verse, we all rise because here she comes. She's coming through that door right now. So we rise and we face the door. Well, not yet, not until verse 9. So sing along with me. We're going to do verses 1, 2, 8, and 9. And when we get to verse 9, please rise and face the door and welcome the Shabbat bride. Lecha dodi likrat gala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat gala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad, ishmihanu Shmo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litechila, lecha dodi likrat gala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat gala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shabbat l'chuven elcha, ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machashava tehila, lecha B'nei Shabbat nekavela likrat kala lelai yalalai yalalai B'nei Shabbat nekavela Goi v'shalom ateret bana gam b'simcha u'tzorona toch emunei am segula goi chala lechadoti likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat nekavela lechadoti likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat nekavela. We transition now into the central prayers. I ask you to remain standing if it is your custom for Chatzi Kaddish on page 144. Yitkadav yitkadash shmei Rabbah Yamad yivrach yurtei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'chayedecho beit Yisrael b'gala b'gala u'v'zman kariv v'yimeru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam le'olmei homaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha berichu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata damiram b'yalma v'yimeru Amen. We stay risen for the call to prayer. For L'chadodi, we face the setting sun, which was in the west. For Baruch Hu, we face Jerusalem, which is in the east, which is in that general direction. So I will do the call and you can do the answer. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. The next few prayers we say each speak to a different aspect of blessing, of God's blessing on us. Mariv Aravim, which can be found on page 148, is a blessing of God. God is our creator of the world, day and night, simply by speaking, but with God's word, the world is created. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro mariv aravim b'chokhma poteach sheharim uvidvona meshaneh itim ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו בורא יום ולילה כולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור וחושך aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ma'arim Haravim. We follow page 150. With God's aspect of a loving God, loving us completely and forever, without condition. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chokim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. Haken Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu, u'meinu nasiach b'chukecha. ונשמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי חיים חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. Jews are not a monolithic people. We reside all over the world, speak many different languages, hold diverse political beliefs, and come in many shapes, sizes, and cultures. But in one thing, we remain united by virtue of our identity as Jews. When we say Shema, we proclaim our unity as inheritors of the covenant with God at Mount Sinai. We were bound to Torah at that moment and remain so as a covenant throughout all time. In this spirit, I invite you to rise if you are able, to be transported to that moment in biblical time and renew our promise to live according to Torah and to love the Holy One of blessing as we are embraced in God's loving presence. Page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. We continue with the Ve'ahavta, first and last paragraphs on page 154, first in Hebrew, then in English. Feel free to have a seat now if you are more comfortable. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לרעכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם בארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohim. In English, you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohim Emet. Miriam?
Under Henrietta's leadership, Hadassah's first act was to collect money to send 2 nurses to Palestine in 1913. They were to provide pasteurized milk to infants and new mothers, to eradicate trachoma, an easily cured eye disease that was robbing thousands of their sight. By 1918, Hadassah had sent an entire medical unit comprised of 45 doctors, nurses, dentists, and sanitary workers to bring American-style healthcare to the Middle East. Through Hadassah, Henrietta Zold helped improve women's health care in Palestine and created a women's nursing program in Jerusalem. A proponent of pluralism and binational solution, Zold convinced supporters that Hadassah's many medical services, training programs, and other forms of aid should be open to all in the land, not just the Jewish community. From these early efforts developed the beginning of the Israeli healthcare system, which today includes some of the world's leading research, development, and treatment hospitals and schools of medicine and nursing. She said, "My misfortune is my ability to see both sides, even of the fundamental religious questions."
Page 158. We sing our song of freedom. As we look from Purim to Pesach and liberation. Yai la la la, yai la la la, yai la la la, la 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 la, yai la la la, yai la la la, yai la la la, la 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 la, yai la 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 la, la 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 la, yai la la la, yai la 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 la, yai la la la. Tehilo Joseph שנאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב ויעלום יד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני יא ישראל. 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. From the third line. Uferos aleinu sukat, sukat, shlomecha. Uferos aleinu sukat, sukat, shlomecha. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing, for you, God, watch over us. Deliver us, for you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and to peace evermore. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 162. We sing of our covenant, our promise to God to keep this holy day of rest. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat Dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash. We rise for Tefillah Amidah, our standing prayer. This is our intimate moment with Hashem. We greet God as our King, as our sovereign, And so with respect, as we begin the invocation on page 164, we take 3 steps, mini steps in your pews, backwards, so we can symbolically take 3 steps forward and bow as we approach. And we will do this Amidah silently. Please feel free to use the words in the prayer book from page 166 to 181, or close the book and speak with your heart. When you are done, you may be seated. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ויעקב ישראל, ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'yimaru. Amen. I now call on Anise Goldfarb for a reading.
In 1993, Henrietta Zold made Aliyah to what would become Israel. At the dawn of the Holocaust in Europe, Zold and a German colleague organized the rescue of thousands of Jewish children to safety in Palestine through Youth Aliyah. She met every boat as it arrived. Youth Aliyah succeeded in bringing 30,000 Jewish children from Nazi Europe. Hadassah still supports Youth Aliyah villages for at-risk children in Israel. Today, the Youth Aliyah program sets at-risk children in Israel on the path to a successful future. Since 1934, over 300,000 young people from 80 lands have graduated from Youth Aliyah. She said, "I would exchange everything for one child of my own."
We add to all these blessings we've done already one more blessing, well, many more blessings, but the next blessing is one for healing for those who are suffering in body and in spirit. I will read the names from our congregation, but I'm sure there are many others that are in your hearts right now. So after I read this list, I will pass my hand around the room. Feel free to say the name aloud to bring power of healing to that name, or just say it in your heart. We are praying today for Ariel Roberts, Michelle Phillips, Dean Weber, Robert Ray, Linda Fields, Jerome Commissar, Etka Virna Bat Naomi, Ty Hutton, Ron Heller, Lena Lewis, Malka Cyril Bat Devora Dina, Sarah Bat Avraham, Kathleen Ford, Maya Smith, Art Britter, Mac Russell, Eileen Abbey, and those who you wish to name now. Misha Barach can be found on page 109. Misha Barach Avotenu Mekor Abracha Limutenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
I'm here to introduce our keynote speaker, Ann Burbert Eisenberg of Richmond, is Leadership Development and Training Chair and Philanthropy Data Initiative Chair for Hadassah National. She is the past president of Hadassah Southern Seaboard Region and of Hadassah Richmond. Ann previously served as, Ann previously served as Presidential Development Co-Chair, National Development Training Chair, Vice Chair, Major Gifts Chair, and Women's Health Chair in Richmond, where she successfully began and coordinated Check It Out for over 20 years. For this program, Ann was named a Richmond History Maker by the Valentine Museum of History and Culture. In her local Jewish community, Ann served the Sisterhood and Board of Temple Bethel and as a board member of the Jewish Community Federation of Richmond and Rutland Torah Academy. Her particular interest in marketing and design was reflected in her chairmanship of the Federation's Marketing Task Force. She is currently the Communications Chair for Hadassah Richmond and a member of the Jewish Women's Club. Ann is marketing consultant of her own firm, Ann B. Eisenberg Marketing, a 35-year-old company offering high-quality graphic design for small commerce looking for innovative ways to brand their business. Ann is married to Elliot, and they are founders at the Center for Emergency Medicine and Keepers of the Gate. Ann loves her friends, traveling, cooking, reading, golf, and newfound hobby of canasta. Isn't that fun? And now I'd like to present Ann Eisenberg. Wow, you don't need that.
That's longer than my talk.
Why don't you use this one?
Okay, I don't. Okay, so put this over here. All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. I live in Richmond now, but I'm from Roanoke, and when I come this way on the interstate and I get to Charlottesville and I see those mountains, I love it. So I'm happy to be here. I always love coming this way and further. But I want to thank Pat for the invitation to speak tonight, and not only to speak, but to pray with you. The service has been lovely. Thank you, Cantor, for facilitating the lovely Hadassah Shabbat Zakor. And thank God we can go about our daily lives for the most part, but we all have Israel and our brethren in our constant thoughts and prayers. It was timely for Pat to ask that I speak about what Hadassah is doing to heal the bodies and the minds and the souls of the Israeli citizens. Since 1912, Hadassah has been healing the people of pre-state and now the state of Israel. That was how Hadassah began 112 years ago with a visionary you heard, Henrietta Zold. Seeing a need for health care in the area and making it happen, it was Purim when Hadassah was founded. And ultimately, Purim teaches us that when a moment of truth arrives, we must summon body, strength of heart, and depth of compassion. I am most proud that Hadassah Hospital was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. This nomination was conferred because our healthcare system, which includes 2 hospitals and scores of interdisciplinary clinics throughout Israel, employs and treats people regardless of their politics, regardless of their race, regardless of their nationality, skin color, or religious views. Everyone, Palestinians and Israelis, work side by side to heal broken bodies and spirits in our hospitals.
And while Hadassah certainly advocates for many issues pertaining to women's rights and the safety of the state of Israel, Hadassah is not a political organization. We support the ruling government of Israel because the hospital is part of Israeli society. But we do advocate. There is a new advocacy campaign, which you heard a little bit about, called End the Silence. Hadassah has been loudly denouncing Hamas's heinous acts of sexual and gender-based violence for months. As global humanitarian leaders, we are shaken to the core by these atrocities and the fact that these crimes have been justified, denied, and even celebrated by some. Rape and sexual violence should never be sanctioned as an act of war. This is why Hadassah volunteers, professional staff, and our colleagues in Israel and Hadassah International, which is around the world, have come together as one Hadassah to build on our existing work and launch a global campaign, End the Silence. It is an example of what Hadassah women advocate for. Most recently, before the war, we were advocating for reproductive rights, which we all continue to do, and we will continue to do until we have autonomy over our own bodies. Hadassah Medical Organization's Bat Ami Center for Victims of Sexual Abuse, as Pat said, was established in 2009. The primary goal of the treatment at this center was to return control to the victim. Rape is a violent act of control. When a woman comes to Bat Ami Center, she is given a complete control as to how her healing process goes. They will not touch her without her permission. Global estimates published by the World Health Organization indicate that about 1 in 3 women worldwide have experienced either physical or sexual partner violence or non-partner sexual violence in their lifetime. Sadly, the public has seen this escalation of violence against women in the press from the war perpetrated by Hamas, and Bat Ami Center for Victims of Sexual Abuse is treating more children, adolescents, and women than ever. Pat asked me to speak about Hadassah's efforts in support of the population of Israel since October 7th. When Hamas terrorists attacked that morning, it was unlike anything Israel had ever experienced. Hadassah Hospital at Ein Kerem immediately turned a level of their underground parking garage into a hospital trauma unit in anticipation of the injured arriving. And they did arrive, 300 from the initial attacks. If you see a photo of this garage, you see a huge open room with hospital beds and IV poles and monitoring equipment, and you also see the exit signs and the parking numbers. Hadassah designed the hospital to function safely underground and was prepared for what they hoped they would never have to see. Amidst the horrific stories we heard, there were so many stories of heroism and healing as well. Staff from Hadassah's 2 youth Aliyah villages, which we just mentioned, Hadassah Nurim and Meir Shveya, the staff got in their cars and drove south to gather people to bring them to safety. They took in 100 children on October 7th and 8th. The villages lost several alumni and they were hurting, but they are a community helping to support the well-being of children. On a good day, our youth villages offer therapy for troubled children. There's a horse stable for mental therapy. There's a dairy farm. It gets them into the routine and helps stabilize the chaos. Farming, music, art, they're all designed to normalize life. Our youth villages have the tools to heal troubled children. When I first began to think about our time together, I read up on many of the Hadassah Hospital patient stories, and I found a common thread. There was a story of an IDF soldier. His name was Shiloh. He was shot numerous times, shattering his knee in a battle in Gaza. His comrades got him to safety, and Hadassah Hospital performed advanced technology surgery. During the operation, they saw what was missing in Shiloh's knee. He had been shot right in the knee, and they reconstructed his knee while he was in surgery using 3D printing. So the surgeons did their part, and then Shiloh went off to rehab. He's got the long process of rebuilding his strength. Another story, Yoni. He was a reservist. He runs a company that trains military units and emergency organizations in dealing with emergency events. And you think, earthquake, tsunami, chemical explosion. He actually supplied training dummies. That was his thing. And Yoni traveled to the U.S. and he trained the U.S. Air Force Emergency Medical Services. The scenario was entirely hypothetical when he came here to train a sudden terrorist attack on a military base in the Middle East. Who would have thought that it would have come true on such a grand scale? Yoni was called up to serve in the IDF and was critically wounded with a chest wound in southern Gaza after being hit by 6 bullets, one of which pierced his lung. In a dramatic helicopter rescue, a chest tube was inserted in Yoni's chest on his way to Hadassah Hospital, and he actually directed the surgeons what to do on the helicopter. Yoni arrived in critical condition, and he was diagnosed with shattered bones in his shoulder and his left arm, and with a penetrating chest injury and pulmonary bleeding. Now, in rehabilitation, he's gradually starting to walk on his own, and later he gets to look forward to shoulder replacement. Another soldier was injured when a terrorist shot a missile right through him. He was operated on at Hadassah, where his wounds were healed quickly. But it was noticed that his psychological well-being was not good. The soldier was crying all the time. He was having outbursts of anger at the medical team. He was unable to talk about his injury. He was having flashbacks. He was having survivor's guilt. He was going to be released to go home, but it was decided that he might do harm to himself or to his family. He was sent to rehabilitation to learn how to tell his story, how to explain what happened to his family and to his children, and confront his anxieties. So after reading stories about the wonderful things that Hadassah Hospital did, they all seemed to end with rehabilitation. So I thought that was the common thread, and it took me in a hopeful direction, rehabilitation. And it just so happens that Hadassah just opened the Gandel Rehabilitation Hospital at Mount Scopus in January. These soldiers are just 3 of the more than 10,000 Israelis who have been wounded since the war with Hamas began 168 days ago. The new Hadassah's new Gandel Rehabilitation Center at Mount Scopus is offering cutting-edge therapies for both wounded soldiers and still for civilians. Mount Scopus is the smaller of Hadassah's 2 hospitals. It's serving the Jewish and Arab neighborhoods in northern and eastern Jerusalem. It now has a magnificent 8-story edifice. So there are wounds you can see and there are wounds that you cannot. Rehabilitation goes beyond medicine. It is an emotional journey shared by patients and our staff, says Isabella Schwartz, who is the head of rehabilitation at Hadassah Mount Scopus. In January of this year, phase 1 opened, which is 4 of those 8 floors, and they're offering outpatient rehabilitation, but they also have 72 inpatient beds. It more than doubled the current capacity of the area. So once funding is completed, they'll open the other 4 floors and have a total of 132 beds, and that will increase the capacity for like 4-fold. It's a dramatic improvement for rehabilitation services offered in the region. The new center will offer 2 hydrotherapy pools, a robotic therapy center, a rooftop healing garden, sounds really nice, and a technological incubator, setting a new standard in Israel. I know such an event as October 7th was not anticipated, but obviously Hadassah was looking ahead at the possibility when they decided to build this rehabilitation center several years ago. What happened on October 7th is still unfathomable. Beyond the bodily harm inflicted, there is mental harm, which might take longer to heal than the physical wounds. How do you deal with young people evacuated from homes, lost family, shocked? The magnitude of events is beyond all other. Interventions began October 8th. It's been said that every person in Israel might be a mental health patient now. Such a big event has caused great anxiety. Everyone has been traumatized, and ER admittances for anxiety have been greater than ever. Everyone has been touched by this war. Hadassah is helping people understand themselves, normalize their feelings, create a feeling of safety, find reasons to rebuild what was lost, and to mourn what cannot be replaced. It's well known that children's mental health needs vary from adults. Last August, Hadassah announced its pediatric mental health program. The good news is that the human spirit and mind are very strong, and children, for the most part, are very resilient. Hadassah is transforming children's mental health care by defeating the stigma and treating the whole family with compassion, respect, and clinical expertise. Hadassah's care creates safe places where children and families turn heartbreak into hope. Most people have the natural tools to keep themselves well, but if not, help is available. More good news is Hadassah's staff is ready and prepared to escort people to psychological safety. At the end of the evening, Hadassah's hospitals are an independent entity serving whoever walks through their doors. We can be proud of supporting such a peaceful organization that continues to rebuild lives. In treating psychological wounds, people are often told to turn off their electronics, light some candles, open a bottle of wine, share a meal with somebody important to you. And that sounds like Shabbat to me. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Thank you so much for your insightful words. I'd like to present this certificate to you in appreciation for your participation in Charlottesville Hadassah's Shabbat. And thank you for your dedication to Hadassah. Thank you.
Thank you.
We proceed with the closing blessings of our Kabbalat Shabbat service with Aleinu on page 586 at the bottom of the page, and continuing on to 588 and then 591. Please rise if it is your custom. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ועושה הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר וחי אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Today, with 330,000 members, associates, and supporters, Hadassah remains committed to Jewish continuity and building a better world through medicine and healthcare, advocacy, and communities of women. In 2012, Hadassah, the Women's Zionist Organization of America, celebrated its centennial in Israel. Not long before her death, when a sculptor was creating a bust of Henrietta Zold, she asked him to make my eyes look to the future. Henrietta Zold is a testament to what one person, one organization, and one vision can accomplish. We honor the work of Henrietta Zold, as well as her commitment to Jewish study and her devotion to her faith. May we be strengthened and inspired to work, to learn, and to act so that her dream continues to flourish in our day. She said, "Make my eyes look to the future." We continued with Kadisha Tome, Mourner's Kaddish, on page 598. This week in our congregation, we are honoring the yardsites of Regina Carlson, Leonard Dobkins, Seymour Gelber, Jonas Goldstein, Jake Goodman, Diana Horowitz, Roxbury Hyde Crystal, Alan Kane, David Kaufman, Baron Kesser, Morton Koch, Max Morton, Yaakov Naftali, Lorraine Pierce, Marion Pickering, Max Joseph Samuels, Diane Schmidley, Leonard Scott Sr., Irvin Shapiro, Robin Judy Herman Stone, Helen Murphy Valentine, Helen Graber Wiener, Bessie Mopsick, and we are still observing Shloshim for Stephen Settle, father of Tova Close. For all those who are in mourning, those who wish to join them, please rise for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrachu te v'amlech malchute, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach leolam omei almaya, yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzba'ar v'yitzramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudisha b'richu. Le'ilah min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, da'miran bialma, v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Pat, would you like to do the announcements?
Stand up tall. I'll try. Saturday, March 23rd, that's tomorrow, join the Reform Shabbat morning service and celebrate the bat mitzvah of Nora Rosenbaum. This service is also available on YouTube. The link can be found in this week's newsletter. On Sunday, the 24th, is the Purim Spiel and Carnival. Join us on Sunday, March 24th for not one, but two fun and interactive Purim Spiels, followed by CBI's beloved annual Purim Carnival, hosted by our youth group, BITY, Biddy. Thank you. Beth Israel Temple's youth. Please join together with your children for a fun and action-filled morning. All costumes are welcome, especially characters from the Purim story. There will be game booths, prizes, food, pizza, snacks, hamantash and drinks, mini golf, and even a cupcake walk. Tickets for the carnival can be purchased online or at the door. Please find more details in this week's newsletter. I'd also like to thank Albemarle Banking Company for our challahs, and I'd like to thank Wegmans for donating the dinner wine that you will enjoy. And Sharon, before we end, I know that we have another reader, but I wanted to give you a certificate of our thanks for your leadership and your support for many years. Thank you so much.
I'd like to call up Elise Crow for the reading.
We remember these words of Henrietta Zoll. Unless our united strength is directed towards the task at hand, it will not be accomplished, and it must be accomplished. Our past demands it, and the needs of the Jewish people throughout the whole world are an inescapable argument. The exquisite beauty of our land and its promise persuade us if conviction is absent. Golda Meir said, "Trust yourself. Create the kind of self that you will be happy to live with all your life. Make the most of yourself by fanning the tiny inner sparks of possibility into flames of achievement."
You'll get one someday.
Our closing hymn will be Hatikva, page 678. Please rise. Here's the flag. Kolot balevav venima nefesh Yehudi omiyah ufatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia od lovda tikatenu atikva bachnot apayim liyotam chofshi be'artzenu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim liyotam chofshi be'artzenu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim. Shabbat Shalom. Please join us in Metzke Hall